The Trump campaign criticized the recent release of documents from Jack Smith's investigation, calling it a partisan attack just weeks before the election. Judge Tanya Chutkan argued that withholding documents to avoid political impact could itself appear to interfere with the election process. Trump's legal team insists the case should be dismissed, citing the Supreme Court's precedent on presidential immunity in official acts. Trump pleaded not guilty to revised charges brought by Jack Smith, maintaining his stance that the entire case is a political sham. Special counsel Jack Smith has refiled charges against Trump, restructuring allegations to comply with recent Supreme Court rulings. Smith's indictment accuses Trump of conspiring with others to overturn election results in several battleground states he lost in 2020.
Back to our top story. New records have been released in former President Donald Trump's 2020 election interference case out of Washington, D.C. Judge Tanya Chutkan of the District of Columbia ordered the court to unseal evidence submitted by special counsel Jack Smith. Trump's lawyers pushed to delay this until after the presidential election, but the judge denied the request, writing in part that if the court withheld information that the public otherwise had a right to access solely because of the potential political consequences of releasing it, that withholding could itself constitute or appear to be election interference. CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane joins us now. Scott, these are hundreds and hundreds of pages, many of them redacted, but I know you and our team have been poring over them. What new information are we learning?
This is the argument the special counsel brought to the judge 2 weeks ago. The footnote version. These are all the citations, the things he was referencing when he made this case that Donald Trump does not enjoy presidential immunity because the alleged crimes in this case to overturn the 2020 elections were those done by a private citizen or a candidate, not as part of his official acts as President of the United States. So what's in these 1,900 pages other than a lot of pages that are totally blotted out? There are transcripts of depositions given by some key aides and key witnesses to the House January 6th Select Committee. You'll recall that a couple of years ago, talking about what happened with Donald Trump, what he was saying, what he was doing before January 6th and on January 6th. It also includes a whole series of tweets Trump made in the days and weeks before January 6th and on that day as well. There are photos of the actual electors that were submitted by those alternate electors from the battleground states Trump was challenging. And there are a few anecdotes we didn't know already, including in one passage, a White House aide says to the January 6th committee that when he told Trump there was rioting going on at the Capitol, he went and fetched him a Diet Coke, brought it back as Trump then had an afternoon of television watching. So these are the things that are being surfaced today. I think the bigger picture is more important, though, than the small grains of details in these documents. This is the last thing in any of Trump's legal cases before the election, likely. 18 days before, this is the last we're going to hear, likely, of this election conspiracy case until after the election. And it's not happening at an unimportant moment. 18 days out, the judge says to hold this back, no matter how big, no matter how small, would itself be election interference.
And Scott, there is some focus in some of these documents also on whether the speech that Trump delivered at the Ellipse on January 6th was official or considered political. That sort of takes us back to the heart of this and the SCOTUS decision.
This is a critical weight-bearing issue, and I'm glad you referenced it. What they've shown in these filings today is a Q&A with a Trump aide about whether these types of speeches, including the White House Ellipse speech on January 6th, will be typed on a government computer or a private computer. Was it political work? Was it government work? All of that is critical mass now because of the July 1st ruling from the Supreme Court, which gave Donald Trump some amount of presidential immunity for official acts. When Jack Smith came with his new indictment from a new grand jury to keep this case alive, he's making the argument these were campaign, political acts, not official. It seems certain this case will get dissolved. It'll be tossed out if Donald Trump wins the White House back. But if he doesn't, Jack Smith wants to plow ahead, and that's the foundation he's going to use, that this was unofficial work, therefore immunized in its own way from the Supreme Court's immunity decision.
Trump and his campaign allege that the legal action is a coordinated attempt by Democrats to manipulate the outcome of the 2024 election. The Trump campaign accuses Vice President Kamala Harris and Democrats of orchestrating legal efforts against him for political gain. The Trump campaign warned that selective release of documents during early voting races concerns about election interference. Judge Chutkan rejected the notion that releasing these documents would unfairly influence the ongoing presidential campaign. Smith's indictment alleges that Trump resorted to illegal means to remain in office after losing the 2020 election. The judge pledged that political considerations will not influence her rulings, ensuring the court remains impartial in the case.